Hey everybody, this is the audio that accompanies my weekly newsletter called The Source of Insights is the topic for this one. And I sort of wanted to build a framework that enabled us as thought leaders to kind of deepen our insights, and it ends up with a set of questions at the end. So here we go. I guess from the beginning I was thinking that it's easy to think that thought leaders only source insights from their thoughts, and that the name thought leader is a bit of a misdirect. But in reality, you're going to draw insights from all kinds of places. Like you might find them in your feelings, you might find them in your instincts, and yes, you might find them in your thinking as well. So here in this newsletter, I'm going to contemplate the questions you might use to sort of workshop with yourself, extend and deepen your insights as a thought leader. So let's begin with sort of three questions that I've already sort of intimated a little bit around as we start to gather our insights. So this all begins with the premise that you have an idea and then you want to explore it deeper. So assuming you have an idea, what do you think about that idea is the first question. Now that often is enough to get you started, but sometimes you can blank slate at that point. You can come across an idea and go, I don't know, I don't have any thinking on it. So then go into your feeling space and go, what do I feel about this idea? Does this make me angry? Does this make me sad? Does this give me joy? And start to explore feelings and sit with feelings. And then develop the ability to separate your thinking, your feeling, and your knowing and drop into a gut sense around an idea. I had a business coach a couple of decades ago, a guy by the name of Darren Sherlaw, fabulous coach. And he taught me this idea, the head, heart, gut, as think, feel, know. And I've lent on that as a framework for the longest time. And only just recently did I identify the work of Carl Jung as being possibly the primary source for the head, heart, and gut frames. And I reckon it's a really good place to start when you contemplate your ideas. And I'd like to propose an additional set of framing lenses. And the first being the work of Dr. John Vervaeke out of Toronto University with his ways of knowing. And the second being the Thought Leaders Curriculum, contribution and contradiction process. So something we teach here at Thought Leaders. So Dr. Vervaeke proposes in his 4 ways of knowing that we can understand and share our ideas as propositions, procedures, perspectives, and what he defines as participatory knowing. And so this gives us 4 more questions that we can use to access deeper insights around any idea. Like question 1, you've got your first 3 around head, heart, gut. What am I proposing with this idea? How can I put that into a procedure? What alternate perspectives can I draw on that reference this idea? And how can I invite others to participate co-creatively in the development of this insight? So quite often what you're doing is establishing a workshop framework, perhaps an exercise that people run when they're in a room, and that might be one of the ways you do this participatory knowing. It doesn't have to be just about you. That's a hard word to say, isn't it? I think the third framing lens I'd like to propose comes from our Thought Leaders Curriculum, as I said. And when anyone who is oriented as a student discovers an idea, they'll often ask themselves, how can I remember this idea? Someone who sort of sees himself as a teacher might discover the same idea and ask, how can I share this idea? But a thought leader asks a different question. They ask quite simply, what do I think about this idea? Which seems like our first question. But it's this third meta question that allows thought leaders to extend and explore existing insights more deeply. So when you discover an idea as a thought leader, you can process the idea through the lens of contribution. So it's something like, yeah, great idea, and you kind of extend it further. And or contradiction. So you go, yeah, great idea, but, and that might not apply in this situation. The yes and yes but explorations then allow you to extend the thinking in any field of inquiry. So this generates 3 other questions for us, being mainly, what do others think about this idea? How do I agree with this? And how do I disagree with this? I then think there's like a big primary question or 2 that sort of closes off. I like the lived experience lens one, which says, how does my lived experience add deeper or new insights to this idea? In other words, that's your essence, your experience, and your expertise. So your lived experience, how does that bring it alive? And finally, I then ask myself the commercial question, who would value this idea? And That creates a set of 12 questions, which you can see in the newsletter, but let me just repeat them now as a list. So you have an idea, you come across an idea, you go, what do I think about this idea? How do I feel about this idea? What does my gut sense tell me about this idea? If I thought about taking this idea out to the world, what am I proposing? And can I put that in a procedure? And what alternate perspectives can I draw on? How can I invite others to participate co-creatively in the development of this insight? And what do others think about this idea? And how do I agree with their perspectives? And how do I disagree with their perspectives? And then the final two questions being, how does my lived experience add deeper or new insights to this idea? And the final one that rounds out the 12 is the commercial question. Who would value this idea? All right, that's it for this week. So keep deepening your thinking and sharing your insights. The world needs you. And I send this with love.